Selfless giving is the act of offering without expecting anything in return. It sounds simple, but it is not always easy. In our daily lives, we often give because we feel we should, or because we want to be appreciated. Sometimes we give with the hope that we will receive something later, praise, kindness, or even good fortune. But true giving comes from a different place. It comes from the heart, without any conditions. In Buddhism, this kind of giving is called dana. It is one of the most important virtues. Dana is not about the size of the gift. It is about the mind and intention behind it. Even a small act, like a smile, a kind word, or a gentle action, can be powerful when it is offered with a pure heart. When we give selflessly, we let go of our ego. We step outside of our own desires and focus instead on the needs of others. Why is this important? Because selfless giving helps us see the world more clearly. When we give without thinking of ourselves, we begin to understand how deeply we are connected to other people. We stop seeing others as separate and start seeing them as part of the same life. This feeling of connection brings calm and strength to the heart. Many people think that giving means losing something. But when we give from a place of love, we do not lose. We gain. We gain freedom from selfishness. We gain joy that does not depend on what others do or say. We gain a sense of balance that goes beyond everyday worries. There is a story in the Buddhist tradition about a monk who gave his only robe to a poor traveler. When people asked him why, he said, "The robe warmed my body, but the giving warmed my heart." This is the spirit of selfless giving. It warms both the one who gives and the one who receives. Selfless giving is not a duty. It is a way of living. It is a quiet strength that grows inside us. The more we give without expectation, the lighter our hearts become. And in that lightness, we begin to find true peace. Many people want to give selflessly, but find it difficult. This is natural. We live in a world where so much is based on exchange. If you do something for me, I do something for you. If I give, I should get something back. These ideas are deeply rooted in us, often without us realizing it. From a young age, we are taught that effort leads to reward, and that reward proves our value. Because of this, giving without expecting anything in return can feel strange or even uncomfortable. We may think, will they appreciate what I gave? Or what do I get in return? These thoughts are not wrong. They are part of being human, but they can block the beauty of true giving. Another reason we struggle is because of the desire for recognition. We want to be seen as good, kind, or generous. We want others to notice and praise our actions. There is a soft pride in being the giver, especially when the gift is big or meaningful. But true giving does not need an audience. It does not ask for applause. It shines quietly, like a candle in the dark. Fear is also a big reason. We fear that if we give too much, we will be left with too little. We worry about our money, time, and energy. We think, if I give, what will happen to me? This fear creates limits in the heart. It makes us hold back, even when we want to be generous. But giving does not always mean giving away everything. It means opening the heart, even in small ways, without fear. Sometimes we even use giving to control others. We offer something, but deep down, we want a certain reaction. We hope the other person will act the way we want. This is not truly selfless. It is a kind of quiet bargaining. When we notice this in ourselves, we don't need to feel shame. We only need to gently return to the idea of giving freely, with no strings attached. Letting go of these habits takes time, but with gentle awareness, we can begin to change. We can learn to give with a quiet heart, simply because it feels right. And in doing so, we take one step closer to living with more freedom and kindness. There is a special kind of peace that comes when we give, without expecting anything in return. It is not loud or exciting. It is quiet, deep, and lasting. This peace is not found in what we receive, but in what we release. When we give selflessly, we let go of our need to control the outcome. We are not waiting to be thanked. We are not checking to see if others notice. We simply give, and then we move on. This kind of action brings freedom. It lightens the heart. It removes the pressure of needing something back. That lightness is where peace begins. Many people search for peace in their lives. They try to find it in success, in relationships, or in material things. But those kinds of peace often disappear when life changes. True peace, the kind that stays with us, comes from a calm and steady heart. Selfless giving helps build that kind of heart. When we give with no agenda, we begin to trust more. We trust that we have enough. We trust that others will find their own way. We trust that we do not need to be the center of everything. This trust softens the mind. It makes life feel less heavy. And in that softness, peace grows naturally. Sometimes people ask, "But what if no one gives back to me?" That is a fair question. But here is a gentle truth. When you give selflessly, you are already receiving. The peace you feel is your return. The warmth in your heart is your reward. These are not things the world can give you. They are things that come from within. There is also less fear in a heart that gives freely. You are not worried about being cheated or forgotten. You are not measuring your value by how others respond. This kind of freedom brings a deep sense of rest. You begin to feel at home in yourself, no matter what others do. Selfless giving is not just about helping others. It is also a path to healing ourselves. Each time we give, with no need for return, we step away from stress and step closer to stillness. And in that stillness, we begin to taste true peace, peace that cannot be taken away. Stories have the power to teach in ways that words alone cannot. In the Buddhist tradition, many stories show the beauty of giving without expecting anything in return. These stories are not just about the past. They speak to the heart, even today. There is an old tale about a traveler who was hungry and lost in the forest. He came across a small hut where a monk lived. The monk had very little, just a bowl of rice and a thin robe. But when he saw the traveler's tired face, he smiled and invited him in. The monk gave him the rice, the only food he had, and offered a place to rest. That night, the monk sat outside in the cold. When asked why he gave everything, the monk replied, "My hunger is small compared to his, and my joy is great, because I could help." This kind of giving comes from a deep understanding. The monk saw himself in the traveler. He did not see me and him. He saw one human being helping another. That is the spirit of selfless giving. Another story tells of a woman who lived in a small village. She had very little money, but she always found ways to help others. When someone in the village was sick, she visited them. When someone was sad, she listened. People asked her why she gave so much when she had so little. She answered, "Because I still have something to give, and as long as I do, I will share it." These stories remind us that selfless giving is not about having extra. It is about choosing to share, even when we don't have much. It is about paying attention, being present, and caring for others with a full heart. True generosity often happens in quiet moments. A neighbor helping without being asked. A stranger offering a kind word. These small acts may not seem important, but they carry great meaning. They show a heart that is open, even in everyday life. We do not need to be rich or powerful to give selflessly. We only need a heart that is willing. And the more we give in this way, the more we understand that true wealth is not what we keep, but what we offer to the world. One of the most gentle but powerful lessons in selfless giving is learning to let go of ego. Ego is the voice inside us that says, I gave something, I deserve something back. It wants to be seen, respected, and thanked. Ego is not bad, it is part of being human. But when ego leads our giving, the heart cannot be fully free. When we give with ego, we often feel disappointed. Maybe someone didn't say thank you. Maybe they didn't act grateful. In those moments, we feel hurt. But why? Because our ego was hoping for something. Our gift was not just a gift, it was also a request, hidden inside. We didn't only give, we also wanted to be recognized. This is natural, but it is not true selfless giving. Letting go of ego doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we shift our reason for giving. We don't give to feel important. We give because it feels right. We give because there is a need. We give because we are able to give. The act itself becomes the joy. That is freedom. There is a simple way to notice ego in giving. After you give something, time, kindness, help, observe your thoughts. Are you waiting for a reaction? Are you checking to see if they noticed? If so, just be aware. You don't need to judge yourself. Just take a breath and return to the spirit of quiet offering. Sometimes ego tries to hide behind humility. We may say, I expect nothing, but inside we still hope. We still wait. This is okay. The practice of selfless giving is not perfect. It is a path. We keep walking it step by step. Each time we notice our ego and gently release it, our giving becomes more pure. True giving happens when there is no I at the center. The gift flows naturally, like water from a spring. It doesn't say, look at me. It simply moves where it is needed. Letting go of ego is not about losing yourself. It is about returning to your deeper self, the one that gives without fear, without pride, and without need. That self is quiet, strong, and full of peace. And the more we give from that place, the more we discover that the greatest gift is not what we give, but who we become through giving. When we give selflessly, it may seem like a small act. But what we often don't see is how far that act can travel. Like a stone dropped into still water, generosity creates ripples. These ripples move outward, touching people and places we may never know. Imagine you help someone who is having a hard day. You offer them your time, your patience, or a gentle word. That small act may lift their heart, even just a little. Later, because they feel lighter, they may treat someone else with more kindness. That next person may go on to do something kind for another. And so it continues. One act becomes many. This is the ripple effect of generosity. What's beautiful is that we don't need to see the results. We don't need to follow the ripples. We trust that kindness moves through the world, even if it becomes invisible. Selfless giving is not only about what we offer, it is also about what we set into motion. Some people believe that their actions don't matter unless they are big. They say, I can't change the world, but every wave starts with a single drop. We don't need power or wealth to create change. A small, honest act of giving can do more than we realize. It may not change the whole world, but it may change someone's world, and that matters deeply. In temples across Asia, there is a custom of placing tiny offerings, flowers, candles, or cups of water, on altars each day. These offerings are small, but they are full of meaning. They are quiet ways of saying, I give, because life is a gift. No one may see them, but their energy fills the space. In the same way, our daily acts of giving may go unnoticed by others, but they shape the world around us. When we give without needing recognition, the gift becomes pure. And when we give with an open heart, the ripple becomes stronger. It moves through families, neighborhoods, and even across time. A kind act today may inspire someone years from now. So even if no one sees, even if no one thanks you, give. Because your one act of generosity may be the beginning of something much greater than you can imagine. One of the biggest barriers to selfless giving is the fear of not having enough. This fear can take many forms. We might worry about money, time, energy, or even love. The thought comes quietly. If I give too much, will there be anything left for me? This fear is understandable. We all need certain things to live. We need food, rest, support, and safety. But sometimes fear grows larger than it needs to be. It begins to control us. We hold tightly to what we have, not because we are greedy, but because we are afraid. In Buddhist teachings, this kind of fear is called attachment to scarcity. It is the belief that there is not enough of anything. Not enough kindness, not enough help, not enough comfort. This belief makes the heart close. It makes us protect ourselves too much, even when we want to share. But there is another way. When we begin to give, even a little, we often find something surprising. We still have enough. In fact, we often have more than we realized. Giving doesn't take away from us. It reminds us of the abundance we already have. Imagine holding water in your hand. If you hold it tightly, it slips through your fingers. But if you open your hand, the water can rest gently there. It is the same with our resources and our care. When we try too hard to keep them, they feel like they disappear. But when we offer them freely, they seem to grow. There is a quiet confidence that comes from giving, even when we feel unsure. Each time we give without fear, we prove to ourselves that we are not empty. We are full of the ability to help, full of love to offer, full of strength to share. This does not mean we must give everything. Wisdom is also important, but we can give what we can, when we can, with a steady heart. We can trust that the world is not built on scarcity, but on connection. And in connection, we find more than we expected. Overcoming fear takes time, but every generous act helps. Each one is a reminder that we are more than what we own. We are what we give. Selfless giving is not only found in temples or big acts of charity. It lives in the small, simple moments of everyday life. In fact, the most powerful kind of giving often happens when no one is watching, when it becomes a quiet habit of the heart. You don't need wealth or a special reason to give. You can begin with your attention. In today's fast-moving world, truly listening to someone is a rare and generous act. When a friend or stranger speaks and you listen without rushing, judging, or thinking about yourself, that is giving. You offer your presence, and that presence can be more valuable than anything money can buy. Helping someone carry groceries, letting another person go ahead of you in line, offering a gentle smile to someone who looks tired. These may seem small, but their meaning is deep. These actions say, "I see you, I care." That kind of giving can soften someone's day, or even change it. Sometimes we think giving means doing something big or difficult. But selfless giving is more about the heart behind the action than the action itself. A simple message of support, a silent prayer for someone's well-being, a small kindness toward a stranger, all of these carry the spirit of selfless giving. Even in times of stress, we can give. Maybe you're tired, but you choose to speak kindly. Maybe your day is full, but you take a moment to check in on someone else. These are not easy things, but when they come from a place of sincerity, they have great power. At home, we can give without asking for credit. Doing a task that no one notices, or saying something kind without waiting for praise. These are ways we make generosity part of our daily rhythm. In the workplace, offering help when it's not your job, or celebrating others' success. These are acts of giving too. Selfless giving becomes a way of being, not just something we do once in a while. The more we live this way, the more natural it feels. And over time, we start to notice something gentle but important. When we give freely, we feel lighter. We feel more connected. Life begins to feel less like a struggle and more like a shared journey. When people hear the word giving, they often think of physical things, money, food, or gifts. These forms of giving are important, but they are not the only ones. In fact, some of the most meaningful gifts are not things at all. They come from within us. They are gifts of spirit, attention, and care. One of the most powerful non-material gifts is time. In a world where everyone is busy, offering your time to someone is a deep act of generosity. Sitting with someone who is lonely, calling a friend who is struggling, or simply being fully present with a family member. These moments may not cost anything, but they are priceless. Another gift is patience. When someone makes a mistake, or when things are not going the way we want, choosing patience is an offering. It creates space for others to grow. It shows respect, even in difficult times. Patience can heal more than harsh words ever could. Forgiveness is also a kind of giving. When we forgive someone, we release the weight of anger or pain. We offer peace, not only to them, but also to ourselves. Forgiveness is not always easy, but it is a gift that can open the door to healing, both for the giver and the receiver. Sometimes, just being there for someone is enough. You don't need to fix their problems or say the perfect words. Your presence, your steady and kind presence, can be the gift. It says, you are not alone, and that can mean more than anything else. Even silence can be a gift. When we choose not to argue, not to complain, not to speak harshly, even when we feel like it, we are offering peace. This silence is not weakness. It is strength, guided by compassion. Each day gives us chances to give without spending a single coin. A kind look, an encouraging word, a quiet understanding. All of these are ways to share from the heart. These gifts may not be seen or counted, but they are felt. They stay in people's memories. They become part of the kindness that moves through the world. When we learn to value these invisible gifts, we begin to see that we are always able to give. No matter our situation, we carry something inside that the world needs. And that is a beautiful truth. When we give without expecting anything in return, it may seem like nothing happens. There is no applause, no reward, no special moment. But quietly, something begins to change inside us. These changes are not loud, but they are deep. They are the silent rewards of selfless giving. One of the first things we notice is a sense of lightness. The more we give without holding back, the less we feel weighed down by our own desires. We don't worry so much about what we don't have. We begin to see that happiness does not depend on collecting things or being praised. It comes from how we live, how we treat others, and how open our hearts can be. Another quiet reward is clarity. When we stop thinking, "What's in it for me?" we start to see people more clearly. We understand their pain, their joy, their needs. We become less focused on ourselves and more aware of the world around us. This clarity leads to peace. It removes confusion. It brings calm. Selfless giving also brings strength. Not the kind of strength that pushes or fights, but a gentle strength that stays steady. It is the kind of strength that does not need to win, because it is already whole. When we give without need, we are no longer chasing something. We are simply living fully, with purpose. There is also a deep joy that grows quietly in the heart. This joy is not loud. It does not shout, "Look at me." It is more like a warm light inside. It shines even in difficult times. It helps us keep going, even when things are hard. It reminds us that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. Over time, this way of giving changes how we see the world. We no longer ask, "What can I get?" Instead, we begin to ask, "What can I offer?" And with that shift, life feels different, more connected, more peaceful, more true. These are the rewards of selfless giving. Not gold, not fame, but something deeper, a quiet joy, a clear heart, a peaceful life. And perhaps most beautifully, we discover that the act of giving is itself the reward. There is nothing more to wait for. In the moment of true generosity, we are already complete. As we come to the end of this reflection on selfless giving, I invite you to pause and take a quiet breath. Think of the many small ways you have already given in your life. A kind word, a silent act of care, a moment of understanding. These are not small things. They are the seeds of a generous heart. A life of generosity does not begin with a grand plan. It begins with a simple intention, to offer what we can, when we can, with sincerity. There may be days when it feels difficult. There may be moments when we wonder if it matters. But each time we give without asking for anything back, something good takes root, both in the world and in ourselves. Selfless giving is not only about helping others. It is also a way of shaping who we are. It reminds us that we are not alone, that our lives are deeply connected to one another. In this connection, we find meaning. In giving, we find the path back to what truly matters. This path is not always easy, but it is always open. No matter our past, our circumstances, or our doubts, we can return to generosity again and again. It is never too late to begin. To those of you who have taken the time to listen, thank you. Your presence here means more than words can express. If you have supported this channel with a like, a kind comment, a subscription, or a super thanks, please know how deeply that support is appreciated. It helps this small voice continue to share quiet thoughts in a noisy world. Whether you give through your attention, your encouragement, or your own acts of kindness in daily life, may your path be filled with peace, and may your giving return to you, not in praise, but in the gentle strength and quiet joy that come from living with an open heart. Thank you for walking this path with me.